Welcome to the OtherWorldsGG Community Cast. This is episode number 40. Holy moly.
Woo.
Yeah, I'm Table for Two, aka Hunter, joined by Mellified and Alien Pickle. Oh my gosh, 40 episodes, gentlemen. We're making some headway. It's been a while since we've done this. We had a little bit of a hiatus there because of all kinds of craziness.
Life.
Mellified had his, Mortal Kombat fatality done to him, so he was dead for like a few weeks. I was traveling there for a few weeks, and then, just everything kind of got crazy. So we're here. What's going on, guys? How y'all feeling?
I'm doing pretty good. I had half my thyroid removed. I have a very lovely scar that looks like somebody tried to slit my throat.
Ooh, boy.
But it's all healed, and I'm cancer-free, which is wonderful. They thought there might be cancer involved, and that was not the case, so I was very happy about that. And yeah, thank you. So I'm glad to be back, though. Man, it has been a month. I was going through and compiling the show notes, and realized, it's been 5 weeks since we did the news. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about.
So do you like have it in a jar and be like, I beat cancer and all I got was this lousy piece of thyroid?
Well, that's the funny part is I didn't beat cancer because I didn't actually have cancer, but they thought it might be, but they didn't know until they pulled it out whether it was or not. So
nice.
But did they give you the part they took out so you can put it under your pillow and have the thyroid fairy come and give you $1?
That would have been awesome. No, sadly, I didn't get the medical waste from my surgery, but
oh man,
that would have been smart in hindsight. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I got my gallstone, and that way, if we ever lose the cue ball at the pool table, I can just get that thing out.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my god.
Ouch.
Yikes. You all right, there, buddy?
Yeah.
Well, I'm good now.
Yeah, that was a rough time. I'm sure those are painful.
Well,
all right.
We've got tons of news. We'll see how this goes. It might be a really long episode. We might split it up into two. At this point, I'm just ready to get into some pods. So, man, what is up first? What do you want?
Where do you even begin?
So let's just start with the big stuff at the news. Among Us has been out for a while, and a lot of people love it or hate it. It became quite a fad really early on, and so I think people kind of got tired of it because it was just like you play it for like 4 hours straight, and you're like, okay, I'm done. I need to take a month off. But they've been doing some updates from time to time. They've increased the player count from I think it was 10 to 15. They launched their new really large map to accommodate those numbers. And recently they've been making some more changes and upgrades and adjustments, and now they're adding in new roles, an XP system, multiple currencies. So what do you know about all this, Mellified?
Yeah, I mean it seems like they've just taken a game that they did as kind of a one-off lark years ago, and now that it's popular, they're actually investing some time and energy into it. The unfortunate part of this update is they are adding multiple forms of microtransactions, multiple currencies into the game. And I could really do without that. Like, they were selling hats before that seemed reasonable enough. You could customize your character if you really wanted to. But I don't love the premium currency stuff.
Yeah.
So...
Well, it seemed like the hats and the little pets that could follow you. You could just get all that stuff for like a one-time fee. It was like a one-time buy it all. Because on the phone it's free, and then on and of course on Game Pass it's free, and then I think like on Steam or whatever it's like $5 or something like that. Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, it's not too terrible, but if they start getting into like Fortnite territory, I'm gonna get real like not happy.
What game is this that I'm never gonna play?
Among Us.
Among Us, the one you hate.
Oh yeah, I do kind of hate it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
What's funny is if you look in the game market, right, like Chinese knockoff games, right, in the mobile scene, how many games have ripped off the Among Us characters, like just pixel for pixel, using them in everything. It's gross.
Well, And the game format has, and they weren't the first ones to do that game format. It's Secret Hitler. It's any number of party games
Werewolf
that do that.
Yeah,
Werewolf.
Forum.
Yeah.
Didn't even need a video game.
Yeah, exactly. But so they certainly have repopularized that gameplay style, and now it's been used in a ton of other games.
Right, there was like Trouble, like there was the Gary's Mod, Trouble in Terrorist Town, stuff like that.
There was the first ship. What was that one that you were mentioning on Steam?
just the ship, yeah.
Yeah, the ship.
So, and the ship has a unique spin on it. Yeah, the ship has a unique spin on it called it basically, instead of there being like one bad person and everybody's just trying to go about their business, each person secretly has someone that they're trying to go after. And so it's like while you're trying to get your target, there's someone out there trying to hunt you. And so that's kind of where they kind of stand themselves out just a little bit. Although I do love Secret Hitler as a party game. It's a great party game. So
yeah, well, and everybody knows Hitler's bad, so that's an easy one for sure.
Well, it's kind of up for debate, given some recent things that have come to light in the alternate history subreddit. Go ahead.
The alt-his sub. Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I wish them well with their success, right?
He was a vegetarian painter. How bad could he be?
And he was elected by a democratic process, which a lot of people forget.
Yikes. Yep.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to another story. A couple quickies. BioWare shared a teaser image saying Mass Effect will continue, so it looks like we'll be getting some new Mass Effect games eventually. I didn't love Andromeda. I thought it was a little repetitive, and I was disappointed they didn't come up with new aliens rather than recycling all the aliens from the old game. But I didn't hate it. It certainly had some technical issues early on. I know you played it, Hunter, quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I played all the way through it. Especially, I started playing it after they did their big patches to it because I had it, but I was waiting for them to smooth it out. And then when I started playing with it from a gameplay perspective, I didn't have any issues or see anything that was goofy to me. The gameplay at times did seem repetitive, but I think I was more enjoying it for the story. I allowed myself to push through it because I was wanting to finish the narrative portion of it, and then I like there was a bunch of side stuff that I never even finished. Like I was really just trying to push through the main quest line. And so from that perspective, I enjoyed Andromeda a lot because I like the Mass Effect universe, and so this idea of humans that left during the second game are now like, what is it, almost 1,000 years removed or something like that, in another galaxy.
900 years.
Yeah, it's like another galaxy somewhere. That kind of concept fascinates me just from like a storytelling perspective. So but your criticisms are very well justified. I would be remiss to not point those out as well. So
yeah, well, I'm excited to see what they can do with the franchise. Hopefully they get somebody with a really strong vision and a good narrative sense. So going back to our Among Us story, actually, Minecraft Dungeons is now getting seasonal adventures, a battle pass system. Not sure that's another game that really needed it, but okay. There's also going to be a tower mode where you basically go through 30 different floors and fight against different mobs, and it gets harder and harder as you go. So okay. We'll see how that plays out. I don't play it enough to get excited about a battle pass for that game. I don't think.
I'm just shocked that in a game called Minecraft Dungeons that you can't mine or craft anything. Like I expected it to at minimum be like the Lego games where you find like a pile of Legos and then hit the button and then the guy builds a thing, something. But there is no such thing as even a pickaxe in the frickin' game. So
yeah,
I'm a little confused at what they're trying to get at there. Yeah. It's like my first Diablo. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, they clearly just did the Minecraft branding, the style for the visual style, but it really has nothing else in common.
but now it's getting battle passes and
Yeah. Didn't think it needed it.
no. I can think of things that it needs, but that's not among them. I mean, I liked the game. It was kind of cool, but it didn't hold my attention because I think I'm kind of out of the demographic for it. So,
well,
but you said it's free on phones and stuff, or that was
no, that was Among Us. But
Among Us, that's right. Yeah.
Minecraft Dungeons. This new tower mode is apparently going to be. So they are trying to get people hooked, I think, with that, and then get them to buy the full game.
It's like Minecraft Onimusha. Anybody remember Onimusha?
Oh yeah.
Sure, yes. Yeah.
And the game is free, or is included in Battle Pass, in the not Battle Pass, Game Pass, but it is not the DLC, and the DLC is where they've really expanded the game quite a bit. So you're losing out on a lot if you just play the base game. So
right. What else we got?
Aliens Fireteam Elite, which I played and quite enjoyed, although it was a little basic perhaps. They are promising a bunch of changes that will, quote, add more enjoyment, unquote, to the game. So, okay.
By whose definition?
Well, they're saying that they're going to do a second season starting in 2021 with a new game mode, 4 new weapons, more than 10 new attachments, some more cosmetics, new challenge cards, and then season 3, which will be in the second quarter of 2022, will add even more content along with a new kit. And so, they have a plan.
Are they up to 3 season passes? Is that what you're saying?
This is free content updates, so they're not. I figured
it was, but I wasn't going to miss the opportunity to.
Well, yeah. So they are planning stuff through the end of 2022. So at least they're sticking with it and trying to give you some value for the money. I hope that it succeeds because I think that they had something there that could be really great. It just needs a little bit of polish and work, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was just kind of like, well, it's horde mode aliens instead of zombies, but it's we'll take the look and feel of the Aliens universe and put it in a game instead of modding it into Left 4 Dead, right? And okay, that's cool, but to me, it was just kind of like this isn't the best Left 4 Dead clone that's ever been.
Yeah,
they could have. You know what they could have done that would spice that shit right up, right? Is if they really went for it and really did make it a Left 4 Dead clone, and then there was adversarial multiplayer where hey, 4 Marines and 4 people get to play aliens, and they're the special funky aliens. So the alien that spits or explodes or chokes you out or whatever, right? And the choker could just be a face hugger. Whoa, who'd have thunk, right? Little stealth shit that just jumps on somebody's face. And then it's like, oh, gotta stop and rip the face hugger off a hunter. It's too easy, right? And there have been other games that aped Left 4 Dead perfectly,
Yeah.
And in fact, I was kind of shocked at some of these games, and it was just like, oh wait, so there's 4 special zombie types in your game.
What a shocker! Yeah,
what a shock.
Earthfall was one. I think that was the name of it. That was aliens instead of zombies, but it was very.
And that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
I'm thinking Vermintide, man. Vermintide is Left 4 Dead with swords instead of guns.
Yeah, totally.
Although, there were some great mods for Left 4 Dead that you could do the Battle of Helm's Deep that was quite hysterical. So,
well, speaking of horde modes, Doom Eternal's latest update, which is version 6.66, in a little nod to the setting, I guess, added a horde mode, so you can play that now if you have the game, and that is in the base game. It's not an add-on. Unfortunately, Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077 have been waiting to get a next-gen upgrade that CD Projekt Red promised they've pushed it back yet again, and now it's not coming out until 2022. So I'm waiting to play Cyberpunk until that comes out.
Sure,
on the
that's
theory
fair.
that they will have fixed everything, and they just keep pushing it back, which is a little frustrating.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Speaking of frustrating, Destiny 2 is removing another destination and an entire campaign next year.
Why do you need that? I mean, come on.
You know what? At this point, I'm pissed at all that I ever even bought this game. Because the whole thing that I ever bought years ago doesn't even exist. The game's fucking free to play now. Sorry, pardon my French, but like, you know what I mean? It just it really sucks. So
it's bizarre to me. I can't think of another game that has actively removed content that it was otherwise playable from the game.
Yeah, I mean, am I
forgetting about something?
It's not even locations, but it's like weapons and stuff like that. Now, like, I get that, like, some games used to do like seasonal content, so like, they would do like for a little while there with Battlefront, they would do like Ewok Hunt as like a seasonal thing, and then eventually they just turned that on full time because everybody loved it so much. But there has been,
because it used to be like Chick-fil-A, right? Like every time we'd go to play the thing, it was closed
because it was Sunday. Yeah,
right.
But like,
you can't play Ewok Hunt on Sunday.
That's right. Yeah, but it's the weird thing
Jesus
about
loves
like
Ewoks. Is that what I'm taking away from that?
Confirmed. C-3PO is the savior. Yeah. Anyway, oh my god. Born in a manger. C-3PO. Anyway, the funny thing about this is like, I don't know at what point they retain players, because how can a new player get invested in something like this only to then like at some point have their stuff removed because they're doing some new thing? It's just like, all that stuff that I earned is now gone, or like it really is confusing, because it's not just like the locations, it's the gear. Like gear is removed. I don't freaking get it. So I've already checked out of Destiny 2 at this point. So anyway,
Kitten Sushi in our community, I know, still plays it quite a bit. I'll have to, and he was just sort of shrugged and said, well, I don't play that part of the game anymore. So maybe that's the reality for a lot of the more hardcore players, but it just seems so odd to me that you take away stuff that works. I mean, it's in the game. It's functional. Anyway.
Well, and speaking of games I haven't really played in a while, but I actually appreciate more, Warframe is getting a big cinematic expansion coming in December. Now, I haven't played Warframe in a while, but I've always really appreciated the game and really liked what it did. There's just like a lot of games that I've played, but I think one of these community nights we should get a group of us together and play, because I know Jim's played quite a bit. I know you mentioned Kitten's played quite a bit of it. So it could be a good community night game that we do.
Yeah, and I think it was it Dan that also had played quite a bit.
Yeah, Dan
in the
plays
community
quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's enough people there that we could probably get a good time going in that game, and it's free to play, so you can't argue with that.
It's a much better free to play game in my opinion than Destiny 2. I'll say that much.
So
by a lot.
Yes, a couple quickies. Slipways. I don't know if you guys remember this one. It is getting a big second free update, which adds new campaign missions and a bunch of added content and features. This game is this very lightweight strategy game. It tries to be like a super fast 4X game, and the missions are relatively contained, so you can kind of get in, play for half an hour, and feel like you accomplished something. It's let me put it this way: it is way better than you would ever expect. If you kind of spend a little bit of time learning it, it is super fun. So I was excited to see that they're getting some more free content in it.
Nice. Speaking of content, Baldur's Gate 3 is getting a patch that's going to be its biggest yet, they say, and adds equipable salami.
Are you coming on to me?
I mean, maybe. Is that
it's such a weird.
Or maybe it's a salami in my pocket, or I could be happy to see you. One of the two.
That's
I don't know. You
That's
pick.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this game is still in pre-release, so it's interesting. Like, I think they're cranking away at it. They're trying to make it a lot of fun as but people can play as they're developing the game, which is somewhat unique. They are expecting it to leave early access next year, so if that interests you, you know where to get your equipable salami.
Yes, your equipables. Oh boy. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask Jim about beekeeping, since we saw in the new Farming Simulator 22 trailer a bunch of new animals, including bees, which I guess aren't quite animals, but we'll ignore that detail. Bees.
That's right.
Oh yes. I mean, I can't say that Farming Simulator has grabbed me to the point it has grabbed many people, but I do enjoy it.
I just think this is like a sad attempt to get Brad Wardell interested in the game.
Yeah, Brad's got the CEO of Stardock has a pretty extensive bee colony on his property.
Or who is it? Is it who's that famous actor? I think Shawshank Redemption.
Tom Hanks or
no?
Nicolas
Tom Hanks
Cage.
wasn't.
I was thinking of the Green Mile, not
Morgan
Shawshank.
Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. Apparently, in Louisiana, Morgan Freeman has a lot of property, and I think it was Louisiana is where he lives. It's either there or Mississippi. I can't remember where. He's got this big estate, and he started a whole beekeeping colony thing there, and he just hires people to come keep bees on his property or whatever it is. But yeah, Morgan Freeman.
There's actually a lot of money in that, because you can rent your bees out to farms that need pollination. So they will actually like transport a beehive to somewhere and then set it up and let the bees hit the field, because I guess that's like how they fertilize.
Pollinate.
Yes,
I hear you.
pollinate. Like the almond crop in California, it's all by like artificial bee transportation thing, because they just don't have bees in California anymore, I guess.
So there you go. Cool. Moving right along. Apparently, in Skyrim, they've got spider grenades. How does that make you feel, Jim? You want a spider grenade to the face?
It would be appropriate, perhaps, in Deep Rock Galactic.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah,
but I think this is a different spider grenade.
Yeah, this is something that's actually been in Skyrim since the Dragonborn DLC, but it was only, you had to like go through a bunch of hoops. It was only in one very specific spot in the game, and you can actually get spider pods that, if you use them to craft spider scrolls, you can equip one and throw it at an enemy, and it will then create a pet spider that follows you around.
Oh, I was expecting it to be like Dwemer Tech stuff, where you have like a little mechanical wind-up spider, and then you throw it at somebody and it sticks to them and blows up.
Well, one of the interesting things about it is there's a mind control variety of these spiders that you can that'll latch onto your target, and it'll make them your ally for 30 seconds. So you can actually complete the Dark Brotherhood quest line without actually killing anybody that way.
Wow.
Which seems interesting. So yeah, I mean, with the Skyrim Anniversary Edition having come out this week, I thought it was an interesting little thing, just a reminder of how much stuff is in Skyrim these days, especially with the Anniversary Edition.
So the Anniversary Edition, did they like give you all the workshop stuff that they've been selling all along?
Yes, all of the Creator Club content is now included in the game.
And how did the people that bought that feel?
Well, I mean, they've been playing it probably for a couple years now, so I think they probably got their money's worth. But they did add unique content just for the Anniversary Edition. One of the things they added was fishing. So there's a whole fishing system in the game now that was not there before Anniversary Edition. I believe they added a couple other things into the game, and some of the features actually got put in the base game the special edition if you don't buy the anniversary edition. So they seem like they at least tried to be somewhat fair to people who.
Oh, so you don't get the anniversary edition because you own 5 other versions of it, right? So
Correct. It's
yeah.
a $20 DLC that you have to buy for special edition.
But fishing that might make it worth it. No.
Yep,
I'm surprised nobody modded fishing in the hook. Oh, see what he did.
Yes. Very intentional. Yeah.
Comedy gold, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. Yeah, I started playing again. I was reminded just how bad these games look from 10 years ago. My nostalgia goggles were, clouding my memory of how the game looked. But of course, if you play with any of the graphics mods to improve the graphics, it disables achievements. So I'm doing they have a hardcore survival mode in the game where you have to eat and sleep, otherwise you start losing stamina and health. So and there's no fast travel in that. So I'm doing a run in survival mode right now with no mods so that I can get achievements on Steam for it.
Is that also brand new in this version?
I believe it might
mode?
have.
Okay.
It might have been a mod before, but it's part of the base game now.
Oh, cool. So you do get the mods that are the official mods, and you can get achievements if those are enabled.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. But you can't get third-party mods, which is where all the graphical upgrades seemingly
and all
are.
the sexy waifus and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah, about that. Anyway.
Brought to you by our sponsor, Lovers Labs.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
No.
Well, all right. Sims 4 has a lot of content on Lovers Lab. Let's just leave it there. But the
Really? What was
the
what was that website again? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Lovers Lab.
Yeah. The interesting thing for me about the anniversary edition is I have not touched any of the Creator Club content, right? So getting it all in a bundle for $18 on sale or through Game Pass if you get the if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you get 10% off DLC, so it's $18 instead of $20 for the PC version or Xbox, but you have to buy it separately for each platform, unfortunately. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at how much they had added. At the same time, like they've got backpacks in that you need to increase your carry weight. That's the primary way that you can carry more stuff. And in survival mode, you can carry less stuff to begin with. So it's actually super important to have a backpack. But all of that to say, there is quite a bit there. So it's worth a try if you enjoyed Skyrim 10 years ago like I did and are ready to revisit Tamriel.
Nice. All right, what else we got here? Well, if you're still in a Dune mood, there is a game out there. I've saw some stuff about this one and it didn't really get my attention, but Star Sand strands you in a baking hot desert while you try to survive, and there's sandworms. So
it's Desert Bus, but with worms.
Yeah, I guess.
They have smiling camels too, which I think is pretty special.
Well, I'm sold then. That did it right there.
Last but not least, in our general news, the Steamworld franchise has been an interesting one if you've followed it at all. The original game is still one of my favorite platformers. The direct sequel, Steamworld 2, is even better than the original, but they're both worth playing. But they did a couple spin-offs which have not been as well received, set in the same universe where you have sort of steampunky robots running around and all the humans are seemingly gone from the world. This next one, the fifth game in the series, is a 3D co-op game. It looks a lot like if you ever played Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, which was a first-person shooter set in the Oddworld universe. It reminds me a lot of that. So it's called Steamworld Headhunter, and I think it's coming out late next year. So keep an eye out for that if that sounds interesting to you.
Woot woot. Moving on to our Xbox PC section. We didn't add it to this, but I do want to mention that just the other day there was the Star Wars Battlefront 3 mod for Star Wars Battlefront 2 that dropped. I downloaded the 5 gig file from ModDB last night, and so I'm gonna probably try that out today. But the trailer looks fantastic. The story behind it's very interesting because there's actually a big to-do about Star Wars Battlefront 3. There was this whole controversy around it being canceled, and then there was like the assets. You know, someone tried to actually remake the game with it, and they got Steam approval at one point. I don't know if you guys remember that whole thing. And then they had to stop, of course, because there was a whole big thing about it at one point. But this mod for Battlefront 2 essentially utilizes a lot of the assets that were supposed to be for 3 and makes a pretty cool looking mod, and I'm really excited about it. So there you go.
The other interesting mod that came to light recently lets you combine Crusader Kings 3 and Mountain Blade 2. So when you get into a battle in Crusader Kings, it basically spawns that battle into the Mountain Blade 2 engine, and you can actually run around and fight in first person to complete your battle, and then go back to the Crusader Kings 3, world map view. I just thought that was so creative and so novel to combine two games like that. That really, really tickled my fancy. So
that's pretty neat.
We have a couple interesting things going on with Minecraft. We talked a little bit about Minecraft Dungeons earlier. Minecraft now on PC, though, has a unified launcher. So it has one launcher that handles Minecraft Java, Minecraft Bedrock, and Minecraft Dungeons. So you can kind of go one place and pick what you want to play.
Great,
along with
launcher.
that,
Nice.
Yeah, well, at least now you have one instead of three, because there were
true.
3 separate ones.
Now, what would be really
that's
dope
right.
is if it also supported mod management, like you used to do with the Discord, or not Discord.
Curse app.
Yeah.
Twitch app. Yep, that would have been lovely. I miss that a lot, actually. The mod scene in Minecraft is terrible. To go down, you have to go to these weird, shady sites to download the mods. God knows what spyware you're installing when you put them on your computer. I mean, it's just very, very, very suspicious. So
Java is perfectly safe.
Yeah. Minecraft also got a platypus mod, which, platypuses are awesome. So I was excited to see that. That is all. Hunter, Table for Two, my dear friend.
That's me.
I know that you feel the need to have your achievements externally validated.
Well, I need a lot of validation in my life, though. I usually feel underwhelmed and underprepared, and I just need some kind of validation in life.
Well, Epic Games has you covered because they've added an achievement system to the Epic Games Store finally. It's only taken 2 years. Seen some interesting comments about it, that it has some problems, but I'm sure they'll get those ironed out here.
I don't think that's gonna help my self-esteem here, bud. I think
What would be great is if the achievements were actually in the store, like browsed 300 games, achievement unlocked.
Well, with all the free games they're giving away, I'm wondering if they're going to get those developers to go back and add the achievements into those games, because many of them had been on Steam, have achievements on Steam, but you get nothing for playing them on the Epic Store. So to me, that's a bit of a disincentive to play the free version. So I hope they pull that off.
I can't say I have ever used achievements in a game other than as a laundry list of, oh, there's a feature that I missed. Like, I didn't realize that you could do this thing. So that sounds interesting. Let me go do it. But as far as actually like giving a shit what my score is, it's just never been on my radar.
In the early 360 days when achievements first came out, I was working pretty hard to get as many achievements as I could. When then I had kids and had other responsibilities, so I kind of fell out of that. But I enjoy them when they're creative. If I just get an achievement for beating each level in the game and there's 15 levels, like whatever. But if it's something like, okay, you managed to do the sliding dash move and shoot 2 people while you were sliding, like that's an interesting challenge to me, and I'll usually go and at least give it a shot.
Right.
So
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
they can make the
cool.
game better. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I just
Microsoft.
remember
Oh,
I just
go ahead.
remember like people would go out and buy games just because like I can mine achievements out of
Yes.
this game that I would never ever play.
Yeah, that's where it doesn't make a lot of sense, and people do that with trading cards on Steam, I know as well, and that never made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a huge market for it where they're trying to hack people's accounts just so they could trade cards to steal assets. It's weird how like a lot of nothing is worth a lot of something. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah, well, they had a problem with people just putting asset flip games up on Steam and getting the cards in it, and then they would sell their like dollar game because it had cards, right? People wouldn't even bother playing the game, and then it would become like, oh, installed the game, achievement unlocked, here's all the cards, blam,
Yeah.
Right, paid $1. Yeah, but apparently you could then turn around and sell the cards that you were mining. It was like Valve's Bitcoin or something. I don't know, man. It's strange. I just find the Valve system for selling cards and stuff is so freaking obnoxious. Like, I just want to take all my cards that are in my inventory and just be like, put them all up for a penny, go.
Yeah,
let's undermine the economy. Yeah,
their market system is a little strange. That is for sure. Moving right along though, Microsoft has announced that they're going to be doing a 512 and a 2 terabyte Xbox Series X/S expansion card. Now they had terabyte ones, but I guess people were like, maybe that's a little too much. They're a little too pricey, so they came out with a half size one to lower the price so people could have a little extra storage of some form. I'm assuming. So
yes. The list price for these is $150 for the 512. The 1 terabyte is still at $220, and I believe the 2 terabyte is $450. So as much as the console, basically.
Go buy a new graphics card. Just look,
Well, I will say, given that you have to run games from the Series X, super fast SSD storage, the fact that they are producing bigger ones is a good thing, because I know I'm out of space on my Series X already with the 1 terabyte. So I'm actually eagerly waiting for these to hit the market.
Uninstall Call of Duty Warzone and you'll be okay. That's all.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong. I mean, it's 250 gig of the 2 terabytes that I have available, minus a little bit. So yeah, it's pretty.
Well, the next Call of Duty game should just come pre-installed on an SSD that you stick in the back.
And then cartridges are back, baby.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's what Nintendo did essentially with those small micro, like, essentially flash storage is what it looks like. Some kind of unique tech for the Switch to put their games on like that. And that's not a terrible idea, though. I mean, like, we're at a point where these games are getting so ridiculous that, like, maybe, there's some kind of new hardware tech where, like, a game comes just pre-installed on its own drive, and, you have to Atari that sucker on the top of your PC, and,
So what would maybe solve the problem, right, is like SD cards are cheap. So if you could stick your game on an SD card, right, and then just make it a read-only SD card and some kind of technology that makes it like hella fast.
I mean, the theory is sound, but the tech for an SD card is terrible for that. But your concept is strong. But yeah,
I'm just looking at like a super cheap piece of storage chip. Not literally an SD card, but I mean, an SD card is basically like a SIM card for your phone, right? It's just like a little wafer of plastic with a little bit of copper on it, right? So
I'm going to preview a story from later on in our tech section, which is actually talking about data crystals, where a
Oh,
team
yes.
in the University of Southampton were able to store data using high-speed lasers to write to a 5-dimensional silica structure. So they're actually using lasers to write into the diamond or into the crystal data.
How is it 5-dimensional though?
That's just the way that it's described. I don't actually see a whole lot of detail.
So it actually, like, they use a laser and open a tesseract inside crystal.
Oh,
that's not
okay.
dangerous.
Actually, here's a description. These are technically cubes, giving the 3D portion of 5D. The 4D comes from how light reacts with the structure, and 5D is a bit more complicated, but it uses an effect called strength of retardance, which also is largely about how light reacts. So the idea of using the way the light reacts with a crystal, I guess, is the key there. But it's pretty amazing that we're actually getting something that was science fiction, even now that it looks like it's actually coming to light.
And then
see what I did there?
literally it will be the game cube, because you have a cube and then you drop a cube on the cube, and then
this is definitely very Stargate, right? Like, because in Stargate, all of, like, the Gould technology used crystal technology, and then the humans were able to adapt that later on, and so, like, a lot of their technical equipment was using crystal technology. So that's kind of an interesting concept.
Or like organic storage, right? But then it would be like a Tamagotchi. It's like, oh, I forgot to feed my game and it died.
well, in two, like Farscape and both Stargate Atlantis explored the idea of organic style spaceships. That was actually one of the interesting concepts of Atlantis, was the Wraith ships, because they were organic. They could only fly through hyperspace for so long before they had to stop and regenerate because of the radiation in space. So that was like an interesting.
But then you got to like swing by PetSmart and get a bag of ship food. And
yeah. No. But anyway, the crystal technology thing sounds interesting for sure. But moving back to our Xbox and PC section, Age of Empire 4 devs, Age of Empires 4 devs, really going to start thinking. They're going to do it this time about console version of the game. Now, Age of Empires 4 is a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've done some multiplayer matches with a few different people on it already. I really enjoy it. It's quite challenging, which is nice. It's nice to feel like having a challenge again to, learn new tactics and ways of doing things, how the units work, and so on and so forth. So I've been enjoying it, but putting it on the console, that's an interesting idea. And I know that the Xbox technically can use a mouse and keyboard, but this is a strategy game I just don't see a controller for.
No, I thought of a way to do it, right? So you can use the shoulder buttons to like summon up your build menu, and you don't have to like click the building to build the guys, because if you have the building, you'll just have that type of guy in your menu of queue up dudes, right? And then if you recruit a hero, then the hero is what you actually directly control, and all the troops just stick to him, like Mountain Blade, and then you just use the stick and run the hero around, and it's kind of like a top-down Muso game.
Kind of, but like there's not even controller support for the PC version, so
yeah, I'm saying it would be a slightly different game, but it could be done. But I don't know, man. Like I know they came out with like Command and Conquer on the Nintendo 64 or some crazy bullshit.
It was StarCraft. StarCraft
was
64. It? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, StarCraft 64.
How did that
notorious? It not well. Interestingly, though, there are some recent examples of doing strategy games on console. Stellaris has a full, the full game is on console. It is a completely different code base, though, than the PC version, so they have to port the code into the console version. So it's about a year behind the PC in terms of new races and things getting added. The other one I know was the Oh my gosh, Age of
Wonders. Age of Wonders.
Planetfall, yes. That the more recent sci-fi one was also available on console. I played it on a console with the controller, and actually it was pretty good. There were a couple times when it was a little fiddly to like select individual units from your army, but it was doable. So there's some prior art there that they could look at, I think, to pull it off.
Nice. All right, take us home here, Mel.
Microsoft is definitely making, in quotes, definitely making a new version of 1 versus 100. This was a game show on 15 years ago now that Microsoft made a live service game out of, where you actually could play in the game and win real prizes, real money on the 360. So it was a pretty cool game that they ran for maybe 2 years.
Yeah, I played many hours of that. What it reminded me of is, you know how they have like that bar game trivia thing? Like it used to be, I don't know if that's a thing anymore, but like in the 90s, right, or whatever, you'd go out to a bar and you'd get a little remote, and then there was like a quiz show that would play across like all bars in the universe, and you know, everybody that had a remote was in the game. It was basically this. So I thought that was really cool. You could sit in the living room with your Xbox controller and play an elimination thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
They could call it Trivia Royale. Wow.
Yeah, I mean it seems like there is plenty. Yeah, it seems like there's plenty of opportunity for this to work. It's just somebody needs to actually go and do it, and I think it's great that Microsoft's taking a stab at it. So
yeah. Or Epic could do it, but it would be like a Fortnite quiz show, and it's all Fortnite trivia.
Oh God, please no.
Hey, did you hear that Fortnite is now banned in China?
Yes,
I did. Yeah, they shut it down.
All right. Speaking of crazy retro stuff, so Scum VM. Guess how old that is, Jim?
40 years?
Oh, too high.
Okay. 35.
Too high.
20.
Oh, I'm thinking the Scum engine itself. I don't know how much the virtual
Scum VM turns 20 years old and gets an update. So for all you retro enthusiasts out there, happy birthday, Scum.
Now, did they update it to cram it into RetroArch on Steam?
No. Okay. They did add. It's now runs all the Sierra games, all the LucasArts games. It runs a bunch of one-off, small adventure games from the 80s and 90s. It runs all of the Infocom text adventures.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean they've been expanding it quite a bit over the last several years. So it does a lot.
Could you use that and then put the words on the screen? Like here's like words you could choose from.
It doesn't
to do a text
that?
adventure, because you could do text adventures on consoles at that point, and that opens up a whole market for nobody.
Well, yeah, a handful of nostalgia people, I suppose. Yeah. One other thing that it does that might be of more interest is both Ultima 4 and Ultima 6 had new engines being developed to use the original assets and up-res them and do things like that. But now Scum VM incorporated those into its overall architecture, so you can play those too.
So that's noteworthy now, because yes. Yeah, if I can play Ultima 4 and I don't have to like remember spell names to type in, we're good.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot there. The big thing though is that Scum VM isn't just launching this in DOSBox, right? A lot of these games you go and find the DOS version and play it, but Scum VM actually understands all of the art, understands all the audio files and all that, and so it can be ported to any system. So it's a really big thing for games preservation that we now understand how these games worked and can recreate them in Scum VM. Really cool.
Here's a fun story that I actually am kind of entertained by, because Dune is such a big thing. The Game Boy Advance unreleased Dune game is being revived. However, it's getting a different kind of they're Mario Brothers 2ing this one. So so basically what happened is they've got this thing. They've gotten the rights to the game. They can release the game. However, they could not renew the Dune IP. So they're having to retool it and remove any of the Dune references and do some tweaking to it to actually release it. But originally it was a like an Ornithopter assault style game. Done kind of in the style of the Dune miniseries from the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day. A lot of the stuff, like a lot of the imagery and the menus and the character stuff and costumes looks very much like from that. So, yeah, it's quite interesting. I'd be kind of curious to see it, but it's too bad they couldn't get the Dune IP, though. It would have been pretty fun to see that actual game released in its originality.
So before we get into our big retro story for today, I wanted to mention that Racing Lagoon, which is a Square Enix or Squaresoft originally, it was kind of a cult hit racing RPG. It never made it out of Japan, but somebody finally translated it. So we have 22 years after the game came out, a localization patch for it, which looks pretty exciting. This was for the I want to say it was the Nintendo Entertainment System, but now I'm not seeing the reference. But if that's something that sounds interesting to you, go check out Racing Lagoon from Square.
All right, big retro news. Let's talk about this. So Grand Theft Auto has been an interesting series to follow over the years. Especially since the introduction of Grand Theft Auto 3, I think people have kind of always looked forward to the next crazy adventure set in the GTA universe. Like, what are they going to do next? So after all these years, and after shutting down, game modders, they are finally coming down with their GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition, that includes GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. However, this has been this is probably some of the worst game launching news in a while that we've had. That's just this big. I mean, people thought Cyberpunk 2077 was terrible, but I mean, I think comparatively, this is just ridiculous. So it kind of starts off where they're getting ready to launch the game, and then all of a sudden they have to pull it because there's files in the game they realize that weren't supposed to be there. And what's funny is in our Discord over here, Mellified and I were both like taking pot shots at what this could be. He called Hot Coffee Mod 2.0. I said probably more music bull crap that they didn't get licensing for. Come to find out, we were both right. It was both of these things happened. So they found that there was the hot coffee stuff that was in there that they had to pull back out yet again. And there was like something like 20 songs missing over the different radio stations throughout the game. So
I can't believe that hot coffee is still controversial. Like they would have to take it out. Because why? Like the only reason anybody gave a shit back then is because it's like, well, we can't sell this thing that's got weird adult shit in it at Walmart, so that Walmart's going to take us off the shelves. Hey, it ain't on Walmart's shelf, so whatever.
Yeah, have you played a Duke Nukem game? Anybody? Like,
yeah, it definitely seems strange that they wouldn't just restore that content. It wasn't a big deal in the game either.
I'm surprised they didn't sell it as DLC.
Well,
like the historic hot coffee mod for $4.99.
And honestly, there are far worse things in GTA 5. I mean, you can go to strip clubs and get lap dances all day long, and what was in that hot coffee thing was basically no worse than what you can get in GTA 5 today, in all honesty. So it's like, I mean, I really think that a lot of people don't care these days, but it's really super interesting how the launch of this game is a super mess. The textures for the characters are a stupid mess. There's a whole bunch of just issues already with, like, Mellified was talking before the show about the rain pixels just being out of whack where you couldn't see anything. There's just all kinds of stuff that are just going awry with this. And it kind of makes you a little pissed because they shut down that modding group who was, in my personal opinion, wasn't doing anything illegal or wrong. And yet Rockstar had such a stick up their butt because they wanted to release their own version of their games in a facelift style to their liking that, it kind of makes me wish I'm going to go look and see if these guys still have their mod out there somewhere, if I can find it, because I'm not going to purchase this myself personally, but until they make it right, I just don't see the point.
Well, one thing I would say is I really would have thought calling it the definitive edition, they would have put more than zero effort into this. Like, it really is sort of disgusting that they're taking $60 for these games that we probably all have 2 or 3 times over, and not doing anything to improve them.
Oh, I didn't realize it was a full price release. Holy
well, it's
shit.
$60 for all 3 of the.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, well,
like $15 for all 3, maybe. You got me, but no.
Yeah, I would have said something like $20 to $40 for it would have been a little bit more reasonable. I feel $60 for all 3 and their quote unquote definitive edition just sounds like
right. If you want to play
shark cards not working out, like what's going on?
If you want to play the actual definitive edition, just get the PlayStation 2 emulator, stick the ISO in, crank the graphics up to like 1440p, right, and you'll be fine.
Well, and for what it's worth, on Steam you can actually get, there's already mods for the Steam versions that add in any missing content and make the graphics look really good and plays really well. So it's like, at this point,
that's hilarious. Like, they did that. It's just like the game's been out overnight and boom, here's mods that fix it. That's how much effort that Rockstar put in.
No, I'm talking about you can get
not
original. Definitive, you can get the original on Steam still and just mod it all to hell. But like when the game comes out, I guarantee modders are going to get their hands on this and try and fix it. I just don't want to pay $60 to wait for that.
Yeah. Hang on, they pulled the originals off Steam, so you can't buy them anymore. That was part of the controversy here.
Oh, because I missed that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, when they released the definitive edition, which is only available through Rockstar's launcher, by the way, they pulled the originals off of Steam, so you can't buy the originals anymore, and the definitive editions are garbage.
That's terrible.
So it's really, really crappy.
Brought to you by our sponsor, the Pirate Bay.
Yeah, seriously. It really just, companies complain about piracy. It's a great point, Jim, because companies complain about piracy. But in situations like this, when the company is just, putting zero effort into these things, it's hard not to feel justified. I really am disappointed. I really hope they make this right for people who bought these, or at least offer free refunds.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, well,
and this is out on all the consoles and everything, and it is out on disc. So there are people who theoretically can extract those songs off of the file system that they're illegally distributing, air quotes. So, like, are they going to have to do a recall and pull those games out of stores right before Christmas? It'll be interesting to see.
Huh.
It's not like the music industry is shy about suing people, so...
Yeah, well, yeah. All right, well, we're going to move on to our VR section here. It's just a big disappointment, and that's all that is. Yeah, but anyway, in our VR section here, Microsoft says that it has metaverse plans for Halo, Minecraft, and other games. And yet, I'm still sitting over here scratching my head going, what the hell even is metaverse? So, there you go.
For some reason, I swore I pasted the story in our show notes, but I don't see it. Facebook announced that they are renaming their corporate entity to Meta. Yeah. They are also announced that you will be able to not use a Facebook account with your Oculus headset, which is a big deal for a lot of us who prefer not to have Facebook in our
That's
in our
done.
business.
That's done in cloud. You put it under cloud there.
Oh, that's weird. I just pasted it wrong. My bad.
Yeah, the
That's what I get
Oculus
for doing
Quest.
these
Yeah.
at like midnight last night.
I think Babylon Bee had the best article that covered Meta. It was talking about how God had also developed this virtual reality platform called the Universe, where you can interact with other people. And
Oh well, did you see Iceland's video where
the tourist thing.
Yeah, we're like Iceland's like, welcome to Icelandverse. Like we've got a great place for you with water that is wet that you can interact with, horses that you can ride and touch, and like look at this volcanic
totally
rock.
Fun with it.
Look at this volcanic rock. You can pet it. Like it's just like, yeah. And you can stand next to a waterfall like this one and this one and this one. Oh man, they had a lot of fun with that one.
Yes. Well, I'm excited, like I say, to get rid of the Facebook login requirement or account requirement. They have confirmed that if you've already attached your Facebook and Oculus accounts, that you can divorce them without losing any of the content you paid for, which is also good.
But if I only have a Facebook account just to log into the Oculus, right, then it's like, okay, now you have to go make another account on the Meta thing. But I still have an account that's in the same terrible ecosystem. Now it's just under a different name, right? And it may be in the same database for all we know. So what really changed? It's more like, oh, we're going to make everybody re-register.
The hope is that at least they are not tying your Facebook identity directly to your Oculus gamer identity, because like you don't have a choice with the Quest, right? If you want to be friends with somebody, you have to basically friend them on Facebook, which is a totally different. Well, I have people that I game with. I don't want my Facebook profile. Well, not that I use Facebook, but
that's true. Same. It makes sense for the Meta like interpersonal connection stuff, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to our Nintendo news. This one just makes me sad. It's just more Nintendo being Nintendo. Nintendo Switch Online's N64 games need some work, so there's been tons of coverage on this. I mean, you can look at it anywhere, like on YouTube, Reddit, just Google search, you'll see there's a ton of people that are very disappointed, but their emulation work for their N64 games is quite crap. The games don't play as well, they don't look as good. And this is just yet another thing, and man, this is where I wish more developers would realize that the community is already doing the Lord's work, and they're making, the community is fixing a lot of these things themselves. And
I'm surprised they didn't just steal an emulator like they did the last time.
With the NES Classic, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so, I mean, it just really surprises me when you see this kind of stuff. And I guess Nintendo's justification is, well, it's a free emulator, so we're just going to package it in with our stuff. So. But yet they're making money off of it, so how do you justify that? But
yeah, it's disappointing.
Yeah. But it's really I get that Nintendo says like, well, look, we see a market for this and we're trying to fill that void, but it's just like, you guys are doing it wrong. Like, stop doing it this way.
Have respect for your customers, and have respect for the game developers who made these games originally, and have respect for your own brand. Like, it's called the Nintendo 64. Your name's in the friggin' just show respect to it and do a good job. Otherwise, don't friggin' do it. And it really irks me because they're charging extra money on the annual membership for their online service to get access to these, as well as some Genesis games. And yet they just half-assed it by all measures. So the only bright spot I will say is that they do have Sin and Punishment on there, which is probably the best N64 game ever made. It is a rail shooter, which is spectacularly good.
Well, come back to me when they figure out how to get Conker's Bad Fur Day working, because nobody can get that one working.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing I was going to say, though, is even Sin and Punishment, they screwed it up, because on the original controller, the C buttons, which were the yellow buttons, were used to maneuver your view, but on the Switch version, they didn't differentiate and so your shoot button and your left and right view button are the same. So you end up having to shoot as you turn.
They did their button. They remapped the N64 controllers to some weird janky thing that just screws it all up.
Yes, yes, that's probably a good summary. Thank you.
Yeah. Rumor has it that the Metroid Prime Switch remaster is wrapping up, according to industry insiders. Again, it's kind of like, why not finish making the Metroid Prime that you said you were going to make 5 years ago? And I don't know. It's stupid. And then it looks like that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are Unity Engine games, which is kind of interesting. Yeah,
bring that to PC. Let's go.
Well, that's why I put this in here, because I was like, oh, that means it is literally just a checkbox to release this for PC, because all they have to do is compile it for the existing game for PC or Xbox or whatever they want to, and they could release Pokemon on everything.
Oh, God forbid that their source code get hacked.
Nudge, wink, nudge, keep in mind, hackers, go.
Keep in mind, I mean, it's easy to forget this, and I often do myself. Nintendo is only 1/3 owner of the Pokemon company that owns the Pokemon IP. So theoretically, if the other 2/3 of the company decided to release Pokemon on PC, Nintendo can't stop them.
Yeah.
Which is
so do you have it in the show notes about the most Nintendo thing that has happened all week?
Maybe not. That's all the Nintendo stories we have. What are you thinking of?
Oh, the irony that the Switch gets a native Twitch app.
Yes, I called that out on our Discord too. Like, how funny is that?
It's like, you're not allowed to watch our games on it, but
here, watch other people's games. Yeah, that was what was so funny to me, because there was that whole to-do where they were going after streamers for quite a while there, and all of a sudden now there's a native Twitch app on their platform, and you're like, wait a second, stop.
Well, I just wonder if it's aware that, oh, you're watching a Nintendo stream, and then it pops up like a purchase box. It's like, oh, you have to throw in $1 to watch this Nintendo stream.
Oh man, yeah. No, that was very funny. I remember when that got posted, I said that too. So moving on to PlayStation news, I'm surprised that we didn't put more in here.
I looked. I actually really looked.
There's been 2 incidences recently where the PlayStation 5 has been hacked with two unique exploits. They're 2 completely different exploits.
Yep.
And then there's also this PS5 seamless battery death will lock you out of your PlayStation Plus library. So,
so let's talk about the hacks for a second.
Yeah.
At least one of them that I saw is root keys that are used to digitally sign games so they will run on the system have been found in memory on the machine. So with those extracted, theoretically you could sign Homebrew and it would run on any PlayStation available. Right, and that's really hard.
All you have to do is self-sign a rootkit, and then it blows the whole machine open, right?
Right. So the problem for Sony is they have no way to invalidate that root key without breaking all the games that they've already sold on disc. Because if you put that game on disc in, it's going to have that old key. So they have to allow that key, right? Otherwise, they would have to replace all those games.
Oh, that's
so they're screwed. I mean, this is as bad as it gets, guys. The other exploit I didn't even really pay attention to the details, but this one I specifically did a lot of reading on.
So how did they dump the RAM off of the console?
They tapped it. They actually put leads on the RAM chips and pulled as it's writing and reading memory, they pulled the bytes off.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
And then Modern Vintage Gamer has a couple of videos about this that were pretty stellar, because he actually was able to talk to, on Twitter, one of the guys who found one of the exploits. And they're not, apparently the other one they're not revealing to Sony. There's one exploit that they're choosing not to reveal right now. This is what I read as of like us talking about it, so that could change by the time you guys are hearing this podcast, so just FYI. But That's just pretty crazy. Like I've been calling this for a while now. I feel like Sony has run into more issues of like account breaches, um, issues with people's stuff like this. You know, the PS5 battery death is nuts, and then now you've got these two exploits. It's like how Sony doesn't go the way of Sega at this point in my view is beyond me, because they already are starting to put way more of their software on PC. They're starting to really explore that avenue more than they've ever done before. And now you've got more hardware issues with their console. They're going to have to release a brand new version of their console just to get out of this mess.
But it doesn't matter, because then that version of the console won't be backward compatible with games that are released up till right now.
You are correct, and that's the point I'm making. Like, in order to get out of this, they're going to have to be like, and at that point, you're kind of screwed as a hardware manufacturer, trying to make your own ecosystem. You really need to start looking at software as a service for your future. And I feel like they're not really. If they make more strides in PS Plus and PS Now and really start like investing heavily into software as a service and moving a lot of their stuff to be simultaneous releases on PC, or at least 6-month delay releases on PC, I feel like that's the only way they're going to continue to generate revenue and operate as a business. Because right now, like, they're screwing their consoles pretty hard. I mean, even Nintendo, it shocks me how much Nintendo sticks around, but Nintendo has so much. They've stuck to their guns so hard, and they have so much exclusivity on their console that you can kind of justify them to a point. But like, even the Switch has already been like fully emulated, and there's a lot of games that are already like super playable on PC through the Switch emulator. Now there's still a lot of work to be done,
okay, so like, case in point, right, is the new Metroid game came out on a Tuesday. On Wednesday, I was playing the new Metroid game in an emulator. So it was like under 24 hours was the release cycle. It was just like, it just worked, so.
Well, and the reason for that is because talking about permanent hardware exploits, the original Switches have that boot exploit where you can basically get in before the system starts up and compromise the entire operating system. So anything that runs on that console is available for the hackers to extract.
Yeah.
And
so I wonder if that's how they actually do game dumps, is you have to have a compromised version of the console, and then a new game comes out, you buy it for it, and then dump it.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Oh.
So this PlayStation issue was kind of interesting, because it's actually haunted the PlayStation ecosystem since the PS3. And what it is when the system's CMOS battery dies, that's what keeps the clock in the system accurate. And because the clock can't keep time without that battery being there, the system can't validate itself against PSN, PlayStation Network, because they're not in sync. The time is different.
It could be within like 5 minutes for like a normal SSL key, right?
Right. So it caused huge problems with the PS3 and PS4. They actually patched it out because there was no easy way to open up a PS4 and swap this battery. It's actually soldered on the motherboard in at least many of the revisions. They did fix it, but people are noticing that with the PS5, what it appears will happen, because the PS5 has the same CMOS battery, is you will no longer be able to play the free PSN games that you get every month with a PSN subscription, because it can't validate that you still have a license to PSN because the time doesn't match.
I don't understand why they just didn't build in an NTP service. Like, go out, grab atomic clock time, and you're good, CMOS battery or not. Because in order to validate with their server, you have to be online anyway. So while you're online, go sync your time, and then.
And it will, but it won't keep the time. It can't keep the time because there's nothing powering the clock, right? So it's
yeah, but every time when the console's online, it's like, well, every 30 minutes it just does an NTP thing. I mean, it's like, every server in my data center does this.
Yeah, I hear you. For whatever reason, they didn't design it that way, and it seems like they aren't interested in changing.
Oh.
What made me laugh so hard is the meme that came out about this showed a Dreamcast starting up, saying, "Oh wait, I can't play any games," and then it goes, "No, I'm just kidding. What time is it?" Because the Dreamcast notoriously had that problem where the CMOS would die, and you'd have to set the clock every time you turn on the system.
What about the Nintendo Game & Watch? It literally is a clock, and also plays games. But it's
that Dreamcast thing, that's spicy. I like that one a lot.
It was good. I really enjoyed that one.
What time is it? What year is it? Yeah, come on, let's play some games.
So Hunter, I know that you have a decent video game setup at home, but you may not have a 3 series
it's
NVIDIA
modest
card
compared to yours. Yes, I agree.
Well, no, but I'm just saying in terms of you don't have the absolute latest and greatest video card. They've been nearly impossible to get. For
but he does have reliable fans.
Zing.
I don't mean only fans. I mean,
yes,
the fan didn't fall off of his video card or whatever happened to you.
Yes, well, I shorted out my motherboard twice with a bad card, as it turned out, a bad PCI card. But it wasn't the fan was something else. But anyway, so the reason I bring this up is if you wanted to play the latest games with all the fancy ray tracing effects and everything else. Until now, you haven't had a choice, but NVIDIA has updated GeForce Now with a new tier that will let you play your games through the cloud from their data center with a 3080. Yeah, and the graphics settings to match.
Yeah, that's pretty hot. I have yet to try this. I haven't played with GeForce Now for a while. I still have their membership or whatever it is, but I've been meaning to dive into this to check it out just to see what kind of performance improvements I get from it.
Well, what resolution do you get? Is it like 720p? Because I got my 1440p monitor and then I have to upscale the 720p stream. I tried that with the Xbox app and it kind of it was quite playable. Like the controls were responsive, but graphically it looked like mud as opposed to if I just streamed my own TV into here on the screen.
Well, then that's where I use my Elgato HD 60s to just play my console on my PC because then it's at 1080.
Yeah, GeForce Now does support 4K. I haven't tried streaming it in 4K. I used Amazon Luna as my kind of go-to cloud gaming service. I did have a subscription to GeForce Now early on, but they kept pulling games out of it, and I decided to let the subscription go.
Yeah, it's not even their fault. The developers keep pulling them for some stupid reason where it's just like, well, people still have to own the damn game in order to play it. Like they have to buy it from you, so.
Well, okay,
you're still getting your money. I mean,
so that brings up a thing, right? Like with the Xbox Game Pass, why do games cycle on and off of Game Pass like they do? Like some stay for a long time, and some are just like, here's a taste, and then we're out. Like if I've played it on Game Pass, is that the deal? Is like you wait for somebody to like demo it with Game Pass, and then you pull it, and then it's like, oh hey, it's on its way out. But if you want to catch it at like 50% off while we're on our last few days, right? Maybe that's a way to like
entice people to buy.
Yeah, entice is a good word. Yeah.
I think that's part of it. I know for some software as a service games, they put it on Game Pass to eliminate the barrier of you having to go buy the game. Destiny famously did that. They even have the newer expansions, which normally you pay for. I mean, I know Destiny 2 is free to play, but you have to buy some of the later expansions. Those are bundled into Game Pass.
Right.
Because they know they're going to make it up on DLC, right? You're going to buy the latest expansion. You're going to buy cosmetics, and so they're going to make their money that way. With games that cycle on and off, I think it's basically a free demo. Microsoft gets a variety of content to appeal to different people. And it creates FOMO, fear of missing out, where people are like, oh, this game's leaving. I'm going to buy it now at 20% off while I can before it disappears. from Game Pass. So one of the other weird things is that because you don't get the DLC included in Game Pass, you can buy DLC for a game you don't own. And if it cycles off Game Pass, you have DLC that you can't use, which
I saw somebody
is
talking
odd.
about that yesterday, actually, with the $50 DLC. So it's basically a full game price DLC for Forza 5. So it's like you can buy the DLC separate from the game because the game is free on Game Pass probably
Right.
forever and ever.
Yeah.
As long as you're on Game Pass. So it's like, well, I own the DLC, and as long as I don't let my Game Pass lapse, I'm good. So
Yep.
that's a way of locking people in as well.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. I couldn't find the damn $50 thing, or I'd have done it. It's apparently very well hidden, but I like the game enough. I was just like, okay, $100, whatever, take my money.
Yeah, I did that with 4, certainly. I was happy to pay them because I enjoyed the game quite a bit, and I think 5 is even better. So
now 3 never came to Game Pass, right? So
correct.
I own it. That's the only way you can play it.
Yep. Yeah, it's because it got delisted and they weren't going to put it in Game Pass.
And why the hell why did they take Forza Motorsport? Was it 6 or 7?
7.
The latest
7.
one, 7. Why would they take that away? That seems goofy.
Licensing is the only reason anybody can figure.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about Forza 7, right, is because it has tracks instead of just
streets.
Street stuff that we made a track because we marked out some streets, but it actually has the real world tracks in it, which is cool. And sometimes I really like track racing because it's like I'm going around this consistent course and I'm trying to get like a good time and you learn the track. Whereas in an open world thing, it's just like, I'm going to run this race one time. I'm not going to repeat it like 100 times and come to learn this track and then try different cars on the same track. It's just like, hey, I beat it. Cool. Move on. And I feel like what they could do, I would gladly pay them DLC money to just bring the tracks into Forza Horizon 5 because the cars that were in 7 are the same cars that were in Horizon. So there's nothing different about those cars. The only other thing was that they had the homologation, or however you pronounce it, where it's basically like to race this car, every car has to be like 800 points for this race. So it was like an auto tune that would make you race ready specific for this race, right? Which was great, especially for like online competitive play, because it's like, I know that everybody that shows up to this race is going to be in an identical spec car. So that's kind of cool, right? That's a feature they could add. The cars are already there, so I don't have to like reinstall that. So the only additional space that is in use is just for the track maps, which, okay, cool. I will pay you for that. That's great. Do you want like $1 a track? I mean, I don't want to pay like iRacing prices for like $30 a track or something, but it's like, I just don't see a reason for 2 separate games anymore, when especially if they're going to put them free on Game Pass. Like,
what I would like to see them do is just do like a Forza World style game where it's got that kind of stuff in there. It's like they've got Horizon content, they've got motorsport content. It's all kind of
because you just bring Horizon 3 and 4 into 5 as optional. Like it's like
it's kind of like
Call of Duty install.
And we can talk about Battlefront 2042 in a little bit, but the concept of what 2042 is doing with their portal, where you can play like on these old 1942 maps, but with modern warfare tech, that kind of thing. I think similarly, you could do something with Forza, where you've got both of these genres, if you will, in one kind of place. Yeah. So anyway,
I just look at like all those games are so similar in content, only the map and some of the systems have really changed, right? Very big graphical update, yes, but I don't know. I just want real tracks. And There are some tracks that are in there that are like, this is a dedicated racetrack that's just on the map, but it's not like real world racetracks from Mexico. And I feel like that's a missed opportunity, because there are some bitchin' racetracks in Mexico that are on the world circuit. Put them in the game. That would be like, if you're doing a country by country thing, then you could feature like, here is like 20 racetracks from the country that's in this game, right? So we highlight this country, because otherwise you get like one track per country or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
I don't know. Just nudge wink, do it, Microsoft.
Well, we're going to go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think they absolutely could do something with big maps where they already have street level maps. They're doing that with Flight Simulator for satellite imagery and terrain, so it seems feasible to do it with street maps. The Crew, which was an Ubisoft racer from several years ago, actually did like a very light version of that, where you had a few big US cities and all the roads connecting them that were
it was just like a very compressed map.
Yeah,
it was like Detroit and Cleveland were like 10 miles away from each other, but they were both there.
Yeah, so I mean, there are some precedent there that I think they could draw on.
Yeah. I actually really liked the original Crew. The second Crew I looked at and I was like, nah. But
it was
but the first one was kind of cool.
I wish it's a little jarring to go back and play it now, because the DLC, they didn't get the same voice actor. So half the lines are spoken by one person and half the lines are spoken by somebody else. And so it's just very, very odd to play.
Yeah, and the story was really original, because you're like an undercover policeman infiltrating a rogue street racing syndicate. That's never been done before. But
no, never. Yeah. Avenging your dead brother, wasn't it? I think
it's something that God, it makes it worse, doesn't it?
Well, and to kind of clear out our cloud news here, more GeForce stuff. Because of what Microsoft has done with their Xbox with the Edge browser, you can do Chrome streaming like with the Stadia into the Xbox, and now you can also do the same kind of thing with the GeForce Now on the Xbox, which kind of continues to blur that line between console and PC. So it's nice to know that there are a lot of options out there. So kind of round.
Yeah, and you can do this with interestingly, you can do this with xCloud too, where you can play on an Xbox, original Xbox One. You can load up an Xbox Series X game and play it, which is pretty cool.
All right, well, that's going to cover it for this episode. We're going to split this into a two-parter, so we'll end it here, and then we'll finish out part 2 with tech news, business and legal, and funny and strange. There was a lot of news over the last 5 weeks that we've been kind of absent. We love talking about what we see out here in the headlines. So head on over to our Discord, discord.OtherWorldsGG, where you can find all of this and more over there. We love doing community game nights. We are reevaluating some of our game servers as some games in the market are changing and shifting. So we're kind of re-looking at what's available. But we do have a Minecraft server, and we do have an Unreal Tournament 2004 server currently. But we are going to start looking at what some of our other options are and see what we can do to have some more fun. So come on over to our Discord. We might have some giveaways going on once we get to 100 people. So come check that out. I had an idea about that I need to run by Mellified later, but maybe another way we could approach that giveaway could be fun, could be interesting. So alright guys, we'll see you guys in episode 41. This has been episode number 40.
Yeehaw.